at her, still hawking pure water in the sun. Designer clothes inside, but selling water outside. So humble. Oh yeah, buy your cold pure water here. Very cold, very sweet. Hey, madam, bring two. How much be the price?
You are too beautiful to be selling water in this sun. Let me take you out of here.
I appreciate the offer, sir, but I am content with my job.
Why sell water when you could be driven in a car like this? Name your price.
I appreciate the offer, sir, but I must decline.
Grace? So you're really carrying that basin again? Seriously, I have to work. Honest work will never shame me. Work? Is this what you call work? Look at this girl. Fair skin, beautiful face, tiny waist, and you're wasting everything selling sachet water. And you're still roasting under the Lagos sun, selling pure water. If God gave me this body, I wouldn't know what poverty looks like. You and your sick mother wouldn't still be living in this face-me-I-face-you house. Rich men are practically begging you. All you have to do is choose one. My answer is still the same. My answer is still the same. You'd rather suffer. I'd rather sleep peacefully. Peace doesn't pay hospital bills. My dignity is worth more than money. Keep telling yourself that. When your beauty fades, don't come crying to us. Buy your cold pure water. Ice cold pure water. Come and buy your cold pure water. Ojuelegba, Ojuelegba. One chance. Enter with your change. My sister, give me one cold pure water. Thank you, sir. Young lady, good morning, sir. I've seen you several times. I always buy water from you. Thank you, sir. A girl as beautiful as you shouldn't be sweating in traffic. I need to take care of my mother and myself, sir. That's why I have to hustle. That's 100 naira, sir. What if I told you I could completely change your life? I'll rent you a beautiful apartment in Lekki. I'll buy you a car. I'll set you up in business. We'll travel together. Dubai, Paris, London, wherever you want. You'll never have to carry that basin again. What would I have to do? Just be my special friend. I'm sorry, sir. I can't. You didn't even think about it. I already have. For a long time. Do you know how many girls are praying for this opportunity? I know. And you are rejecting it. Yes, sir. Why? Because I want a blessing I can proudly tell my children about. Okay, move, green light, drive, drive. Can't you drive properly? You rammed into my car. What is wrong with you? Where were you looking, my brother? I looked away for 1 second. You looked at what? That fine, curvy, pure water girl. So I got my bumper damaged because of one beautiful water seller. Even Grace covered her face in embarrassment before quietly slipping away from the growing crowd. She had grown used to attracting attention. What she never grew used to was the assumptions people made because of her beauty. Some believed she was foolish for refusing wealthy men. Others believed she was only pretending to be innocent. Many simply couldn't understand her. She's just stubborn. She's just pretending to be innocent. I don't understand that girl at all. My sister, give me 2 cold sachets of water. Thank you, sir, my sister. 1 cold, pure water, please. Thank you, sir. God bless you. To understand how Grace carried herself this way, unmoved by money, unmoved by attention, and unmoved even by the chaos she caused without trying, we have to go back to where it all began. Welcome to my channel, Professor Tales. Real-life stories, powerful lessons. Sit back, relax, and let's enjoy it. Grace lived with her sick mother in a small face-me-I-face-you compound in Ajegunle, Lagos. Their tiny single room barely had space for a bed, a wooden stool, and a few cooking utensils. Since her father's death, life had become a daily struggle. Hospital bills kept rising. The landlord constantly demanded rent. And there were days when mother and daughter survived on a single meal. Every morning before sunrise, Grace would buy bags of sachet water, pack them in ice, arrange them neatly inside a plastic basin, balance it on her head, and walk into the chaos of Lagos traffic. The walk drained her. By afternoon, sweat soaked through her clothes. Her neck ached under the weight of the basin, and the sun left her skin stinging. Still, she never complained. Her striking beauty made drivers wind down their windows just to look at her. Conductors joked that passengers forgot their bus stops whenever Grace walked past. Some customers bought water they didn't even need, just for an excuse to talk to her. Others paid and waved off their change. But not everyone who stopped wanted water. Every single day, wealthy men pulled over beside her with promises that sounded too good to refuse. One offered a fully furnished apartment. Another promised to register a business in her name. Some proposed marriage. Others wanted only one thing: to make Grace their special friend. She turned down every one of them with the same polite smile. Word of her repeated refusals spread through the neighborhood. People began calling her proud. Some said she was faking her innocence. Even a few relatives questioned why she kept suffering when opportunity was practically chasing her down the street. Grace paid the gossip no mind. Her only concern was making enough sales each day to buy food, pay for her mother's medicine, and set aside whatever little was left. Every evening after returning home, Grace counted her earnings carefully before slipping a small amount into an old biscuit tin she kept hidden under the bed. It wasn't much, but she believed little drops of water made a mighty ocean. Her mother watched her determination with pride and worry in equal measure. "My daughter," Mama Ngozi said one evening as Grace gently rubbed balm into her aching legs, "I pray God rewards your hard work. Watching you carry that heavy basin every day breaks my heart." Grace smiled reassuringly. "Don't worry, Mama. One day all this suffering will become a testimony." "I hope that day comes soon." "It will." Grace believed every word she said. The following morning, she was back on the streets as usual. Several regular customers were already waiting. "My beautiful water seller," one commercial driver called out with a grin. "You almost passed me today?" Grace laughed softly and handed him a sachet of ice-cold water. "You always say that, sir." "Because your water is always the coldest." Another customer stretched out 1,000 naira note. "Keep the change." Grace quickly counted it and tried to hand back the balance. "No, sir, this is too much." "I said keep it." "Thank you, sir. God bless you." People admired not just her beauty but her honesty. She never shortchanged a customer, never argued unnecessarily, and greeted everyone with respect. Slowly, she built a loyal following. Some motorists refused to buy sachet water from anyone else whenever they spotted Grace nearby. A few streets away, Cynthia and Patricia watched all of it with mounting frustration. The two women had fully embraced the flashy lifestyle they once tried to pull Grace into. They no longer sold pure water. Their social media pages were full of pictures from expensive restaurants, rented apartments, beach resorts, and upscale lounges in Lekki and Victoria Island. Whenever they strolled back into the compound in designer outfits and expensive handbags, neighbors gathered to admire them. But underneath it all, Cynthia couldn't stand the attention Grace kept receiving. "Can you believe her?" she scoffed, watching Grace serve a queue of customers. "After everything we told her, she's still carrying that basin like she's proud of it. What's worse is that people actually respect her." "They shouldn't." "They do," Cynthia hissed. "Let's see how long she keeps up this act." Weeks passed, and Grace's savings kept growing. She stayed disciplined, refusing to waste money on anything unnecessary. Every extra naira went straight into savings. One Saturday evening, after counting her money for what felt like the 100th time, she froze. Her hands trembled. "Mama." Her mother looked up. "What is it?" Grace smiled, tears gathering in her eyes. "I've finally saved enough." "Enough for what? To stop carrying the basin?" Her mother stared, confused. "The shop, Mama." Grace nodded excitedly. "I found a small roadside kiosk near the busy junction in Ajegunle. The owner agreed to rent it to me. If I pay tomorrow, it's mine. Mama Ngozi covered her mouth, tears sliding down her cheeks. You mean you're opening your own shop? Yes, Mama. The old woman pulled her into a tight embrace. I told you God would never abandon an honest child. The following week, Grace rented the kiosk exactly as planned, modest but clean and perfectly positioned along one of Ajagunle's busiest roads. She bought a deep freezer, stocked it with ice-cold sachet water, bottled water, soft drinks, and a few snacks. She cleaned the place herself, arranged every item with care, and said a prayer before opening for business. Customers came almost immediately. Many who used to buy from her in traffic now came straight to the kiosk. Some brought their friends along. Others praised her honesty and encouraged people to patronize her. Business exceeded anything Grace had imagined. For the first time since her father's death, she began to believe life was truly changing for the better. But while Grace celebrated her honest progress, two people watched from the shadows, hearts filled not with joy, but with envy. Cynthia and Patricia could not accept that the same girl they had mocked for refusing shortcuts was now succeeding purely through hard work. And without Grace knowing it, that jealousy was quietly hatching a plan that would soon turn her entire world upside down. Grace's kiosk quickly became one of the busiest along the junction. Every morning before 6, she arrived to sweep the front, arrange her drinks neatly in the freezer, and welcome her first customers with a warm smile. Office workers stopped by before their shift. Commercial drivers bought cartons of sachet water. Nearby shop owners preferred buying from her because they trusted her. Within a few months, her income steadied. She no longer worried about feeding her mother daily. She paid rent on time, bought her mother's medication without borrowing, and even fixed the leaking roof over their room. Neighbors who once pitied her now admired her drive. That girl is truly hard-working, one woman remarked. God is blessing the work of her hands, another replied. But those same words sounded like insults to Cynthia and Patricia. One afternoon, the two sat inside an upscale cafe in Lekki. Patricia dropped her phone on the table in frustration. Look at what she just posted. I can't believe he bought her a Range Rover while we're sitting here. The audacity. She doesn't even deserve it. I'm tired of hearing Grace this, Grace that. She's become everyone's role model, and people are starting to compare us to her. They say she made it honestly, like we're criminals. So what do? If people respect Grace because they think she's innocent, then we'll make sure nobody believes she's innocent anymore. Patricia stared at her. What are you planning? You'll find out. Over the following days, Cynthia began watching Grace from a distance. She noted her opening time, her regular customers, the way she moved through her day. She quietly recorded short clips of Grace laughing with buyers, collecting payments, greeting people politely. Grace had no idea she was being filmed. One evening, Cynthia invited Patricia to her apartment and played the footage she'd gathered. Patricia looked confused. I don't understand. Watch. Using an editing app, Cynthia spliced the clips together, added fake voiceovers, fabricated chat messages, and captions that twisted the meaning of every scene. In one clip, Grace was seen smiling while collecting money from a customer. Cynthia dubbed over it. This is how she collects money from married men after using charms. Another clip showed Grace arranging ice in her freezer. The caption read, Powerful spiritual items hidden inside the ice water. Patricia's eyes widened. People will actually believe this. Cynthia smiled confidently. People believe whatever they see online. The next morning, they created several anonymous accounts and posted the edited video. The caption read, Don't be deceived by this innocent-looking pure water seller. She uses charms to collect money from rich men and secretly sleeps with married landlords to build her business. Beware. Within hours, the clip spread across Facebook, WhatsApp, TikTok, and every neighborhood group. People shared it without checking. Comments poured in. I knew something wasn't right. No ordinary water seller progresses this fast. These young girls have too many secrets. Grace knew nothing about it. She kept attending to customers as usual. Then something strange happened. People walked past her kiosk without stopping. Some stared before whispering to each other. Others pointed and shook their heads. Grace felt the shift but couldn't understand it. By afternoon, business had nearly stopped entirely. Regular customers approached quietly. My daughter. Yes, sir. I don't believe those things. Grace frowned. You haven't seen the video? The elderly man held out his phone. As the edited clips played, her heart sank. Her face went pale. Every lie had been stitched together to look believable. By the time it ended, tears had gathered in her eyes. This isn't true. I know, but many people don't. The man sighed and walked away. That evening, Grace closed the shop earlier than usual and went home in silence. Her mother noticed her swollen eyes at once. What happened? Grace handed her the phone. Mama Ngozi watched in complete silence. When it ended, she looked at her daughter. My child, Grace broke down. I've worked so hard, Mama. I know. I've never cheated anyone. I know. Why would somebody do this to me? The truth always wins. Grace wanted to believe it, but the days that followed only grew worse. Customers vanished. Some parents warned their children away from her kiosk. One landlord, who normally bought in bulk, cancelled his standing order. Even her suppliers grew wary. Business ground to a near halt. Every evening, Grace sat inside her nearly empty kiosk, staring at drinks that refused to move. For the first time since opening, she couldn't even afford to restock. The pressure became unbearable. Some neighbors suggested she close the shop. Others repeated the same old suggestion: accept a rich man's offer and walk away from all this suffering. Grace simply shook her head. No. One evening, Cynthia and Patricia deliberately strolled past the kiosk, pretending surprise. Oh, Cynthia said with a fake smile. Business has slowed down, I see. Grace stayed silent. We heard the rumors, Patricia smirked. It's unfortunate. Cynthia leaned against the counter. You know, all this suffering could end today. Grace looked her dead in the eye. I would rather lose everything than lose myself. For a brief second, Cynthia's smile slipped. She hadn't expected that answer. The two exchanged glances and walked off. Grace watched them go, unaware they were the very ones who had destroyed everything she'd built. As night fell over Lagos, Grace locked up her nearly empty kiosk and whispered a quiet prayer. She had hit the lowest point of her life. What she didn't know was that someone had been quietly watching her journey all along, and that person was about to change everything. Grace refused to give up. Every morning, despite the empty shop and the whispers trailing her everywhere, she unlocked the kiosk, swept the floor, arranged her drinks, and waited for customers who rarely came. Some days she barely made enough for food. Other days, she went home without a single sale. Still, she refused to quit. Unknown to Grace, one older customer had been quietly following her journey from the start. Mr. Okafor, a senior executive at one of Nigeria's largest bottled water and beverage companies. For months, he had admired her honesty, her discipline, the respect she showed every customer. When the false rumors spread online, he found them hard to believe. Rather than judge her like everyone else, he chose to investigate for himself, speaking with neighboring shop owners, questioning longtime customers, even reviewing security footage from nearby stores. Every trail led to the same conclusion: Grace was innocent. Impressed by her integrity and resilience, Mr. Okafor invited her to his office. Grace arrived nervous, wondering if she'd done something wrong. After hearing her story, he smiled warmly. Young lady, Many people give up when life turns unfair. You didn't. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. He slid a folder across the desk. I don't want to give you charity. I want to give you an opportunity. Grace opened it with trembling hands. An official distributorship offer from the company, along with a branded delivery van, business training, and financial backing to register her own table water company. Tears rolled down her face. Thank you, sir. I don't even know what to say. Say you'll remain the honest woman you've always been. I promise. Over the following months, Grace worked harder than ever. With proper training, discipline, and determination, she turned the opportunity into a thriving company. Her business, Sparkle Springs Water, went on to supply supermarkets, schools, restaurants, hotels, and retailers across Lagos. The young woman who once carried a basin of sachet water under the blazing sun now employed dozens of staff and managed a fleet of delivery vehicles across the city. As Grace's story spread, so did the truth behind the viral video. A cybercrime investigation traced the anonymous accounts and edited footage back to Cynthia and Patricia. They were publicly exposed, forced to apologize, and faced the legal consequences of spreading malicious lies. Their reputations collapsed overnight. The wealthy men who once surrounded them disappeared. The glamorous life they'd flaunted online vanished with them. Left with debt, shame, and no income, Cynthia and Patricia found themselves struggling just to get by. One morning, they stood nervously outside the headquarters of Sparkle Springs Water. When Grace saw them through the glass door, she recognized instantly the same faces that had once laughed at her pain. They walked into her office, heads bowed. "We're sorry," Cynthia whispered, tears filling her eyes. "We were jealous," Patricia admitted. "We couldn't accept that you were succeeding honestly." Grace stayed silent. "We've lost everything," Cynthia continued. "Please, give us a chance to work. We don't want charity, just an opportunity to start over." Grace remembered every insult, every rumor, every sleepless night, every tear she and her mother had shed because of them. For a long moment, the room was completely silent. Finally, she looked at them and smiled gently. "I forgave both of you a long time ago." They looked up, startled. But forgiveness doesn't erase responsibility. If you truly want a second chance, you'll have to earn it honestly, just like everyone else who works here. Both women nodded eagerly. "We're ready." Grace offered them entry-level positions at the company, making it clear that any promotion would come only through hard work, discipline, and integrity. As they walked out of her office, they understood that the woman they had tried to destroy had become the very person who gave them hope. Grace often looked back at the road that had brought her here. From carrying a heavy basin through Lagos traffic to building a respected company that changed lives. She knew the journey had been painful, but she also knew every sacrifice had been worth it. She had proven that beauty might draw attention, but it is character, patience, perseverance, and honest hard work that build a future no lie can destroy.